For the longest time, the biggest complaint about Apex has been the audio issues. But finally, in Season 27, Respawn are releasing a bit of an audio update. And thank you Respawn and EA for showing me this update early so I can show you guys. But it looks really promising. So, what's coming in the update? Well, to start off, Respawn are updating the mixing in the game. So, when you start up Season 27, there will be a new setting that you can change for your audio mixing. And in Season 27, it's going to have two options: focused mix or original mix. This setting doesn't currently exist in Season 26, and all of us are on the original mix, but in Season 27 we will be moved onto the focused mix. And the focused mix is going to be pretty powerful. First of all, it's going to make your weapon and ability sounds quieter, which will allow you to better hear enemy audio. Also, this setting will completely mute squad mate footstep audio, which is absolutely brilliant. I've been saying for the longest time, why do we need to hear our teammates' footsteps? And now, with this new setting, Respawn are removing teammate footsteps. So now, if you hear footsteps, it is going to be an enemy. So you're going to have to kind of tune your brain to that, but it's going to be great. Also, Respawn are making enemy footsteps louder, especially when sprinting versus jogging. So if you're getting rushed, you've got more chance to hear it, which is great all around. For the longest time in Apex, the complaints have literally been, why is friendly footstep audio louder than enemy footstep audio? But this is now going to stop. Also, I'm going to be a bit cheeky here, but because this was obviously recorded in Season 27, it seems like the color theme for next season is going to be green. Okay, moving on to more audio updates, because it's not just the new mixing system, but also Respawn have been really trying to make the audio more reliable and readable in Apex. For example, they did say they've been working on a new dynamic threat system which uses data like enemy proximity, line of sight, and bullet proximity to calculate the level of threat that each player poses to you, which is pretty interesting. So say there's 10 enemies around you, Respawn will calculate which one is posing the most threat to your character. Respawn actually provided me a bit of gameplay where you can see the radar where it's calculating enemy threat, and as you can see, if enemies are running towards you or are shooting at you, they become more of a threat. But if an enemy's out of your line of sight and just staying still, they don't become a threat until they shoot at you. A very cool and useful system. This threat system is going to be used to turn down less important sounds and boost in threatening important ones, like enemy footsteps or combat noises. Respawn also say that this threat system is going to be used to calculate when legends should say non-combat voice lines. So if a squad is under heavy threat, Vantage is less likely to say some random useless voice line about her silly little bat. So this is also going to give players a bit less clutter in the voice line department. The next big thing regarding audio that Respawn have been working on is multiband sidechain compression, which is a mouthful, but multiband sidechain compression is going to be coming in Season 27, and it's going to be another system in the audio to make sure important sounds do play loudly over less important sounds, and basically make sure important sounds have high priority. Respawn actually gave us an example of this in action using Fuse's knuckle cluster, where Fuse shoots down a knuckle cluster with an enemy running in the background, and when the sidechain system is enabled, the game actually lowers the volume of the knuckle cluster so Fuse can better hear the enemy footsteps. Here, have a listen for yourself. I think that video is the best way to explain multiband sidechain compression, but this is going to come in clutch, especially when there's a noisy ultimate going. You don't have to worry about basically losing your hearing. Also, it means if you're playing on like a quieter audio setting, say if your headphones are turned down, or maybe you're even listening to music in the background, the footsteps will be a bit easier to concentrate on. Because when I'm playing Apex, I have to turn music off because I get worried I won't hear a really quiet set of footsteps. So far, this audio update looks pretty promising, but we're not even done yet because they've added way more audio features, like environmental audio processing. This one is for the people who have noticed that the buildings in Apex are an absolute black hole for audio sometimes. Right now, when you walk through a door to a building in Apex, the audio switches from outside to inside instantly. But Respawn are working on a system where when you get close to the door where you start hearing the inside sounds of the building, and as you gradually enter, it gradually changes instead of instantly changing like that. Respawn said this is to make buildings feel a bit more realistic and a bit less jarring. On top of that, to understand better how the audio in Apex works and where the issues are, Respawn have been developing new tools and analysing data regarding audio. Using these tools and data, they've created images like this. This map right here places a dot in every spot where footstep audio gets interrupted. So basically the problem spots of Apex. I'm sure we all know a specific building where sometimes footstep audio doesn't play. And on this map, if footstep audio issues happen multiple times in the exact same spot, the dot gets more and more red. And Respawn have used this to figure out where the game is messing up and basically give themselves a tool to improve the game, which, you know what, fair enough. And obviously from this graph, it does seem like most of the footstep issues in the game do happen in buildings, especially multi-level buildings, which isn't surprising. Multi-level buildings do feel like a bit of a black hole for footsteps, and sometimes if you're on the first floor of a building, you can't hear people just one floor above. In their effort to stop these issues, in Season 25, Respawn did add a new system where if Apex detects a high number of cancelled footsteps, players get prompted to send an audio log to Respawn, which once again gives them more data. Respawn said, thanks to players' audio log submissions, we've already improved things, like reducing the priority of less important sounds, like footsteps from downed players. And Respawn actually made this graph here, which is pretty handy, where it shows that average footstep events interrupted per player match has massively dropped off since the Season 25 release. So basically the frequency of cancelled footsteps has massively gone down. We can see in the mid-season update for Season 25, Respawn made a change where they deprioritized non-important footsteps in the audio engine. So I would imagine with Season 27, where they mute friendly footsteps, there's going to be another drop of silent footstep issues, or at least there should be. We'll have to see what happens, but I can say from my experience at least, footsteps have been more consistent, and I'm hoping they get more and more consistent and more readable. Although there is one thing to note on this graph here, wildcard has caused an increase in silent footstep issues, but I guess that's because there's way more people on the map and way more people respawning. It's always going to happen on wildcard at the end of the day because there's just way more happening. At least from what this looks like right now, this audio update coming in Season 27 might actually fix the majority of audio issues in Apex, as Respawn have clearly worked on this a lot with collecting data, and I really do hope this fixes it once and for all, so we can move to something else to complain about. But mostly, the new mixing setting coming in Season 27 is likely to be one of the most important changes in a pretty long time. But the whole time in this video, we have been talking about audio priority and stuff like this, so you may have wondered what it looked like behind the scenes, and Respawn did send us this video here, where it kind of shows the game playing certain sounds and prioritizing certain sounds, and it's just really cool to look at. I absolutely love to see the behind the scenes stuff in Apex, and I am glad we did get to see visually also how the threat level system is going to work. Once again, this is coming in Season 27, and by the way, we're not very long from Season 27, and especially the trailers. So, get subscribed to stay updated, because tomorrow we're talking about the Olympus map update.